Okay. Hi, Jacalyn. Welcome.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor to be able to connect with you, see you again.
Yes. Yes. So, for everyone listening, Jacalyn and I met, what year was it that you did your
I
training?
was thinking about it. I think it was 2014,
Oh, wow.
maybe.
Okay.
So we're talking 7 years ago now.
Yeah. So, yeah, we go way back. Jacalyn did training with Yogi Beans and then taught with Yogi Beans a while when I was there. So, we've kind of known each other since back in the day, but I'm so excited to reconnect. We've been in touch through social media, but that's always just a tiny fraction of what's actually
Sure is.
happening. But I want to start at the beginning for people listening. So, how did you first find yoga in your life, and then how did it impact you?
I love this question, and it was really fun to reflect on my yoga journey.
Mm.
um, what I realized is yoga to me is it's almost taken this shape of like a best friend or even like a sister that has been there with me through thick and thin through
Mm.
these journeys. And it's just very been there. So
Yes.
first, I was first introduced to yoga when I went to college. It was like my second year in college, and I was student teaching at in a special needs classroom. And the assistant, she told me, "Hey, I'm teaching a yoga class. Do you want to come and check it out? This is my first time." And I hadn't heard much. I mean, I've heard of yoga, but I didn't know much about it. And I know we have a similar background, the dancing background.
Hmm.
So I was in college kind of missing that little piece of myself. And I was like, sure, I'll come support you and check it out. And I showed up to the class, and I think it was just me. There may have been like one other person in the class. And it was a wonderful experience. She was new. I don't even think she had been through training yet. So she was, creating that atmosphere and still looking at her notes. And we did the Shavasana. And I remember the music during the Shavasana, and it just opened up something within me. I knew at that moment that this was something very special that, I wasn't quite ready for, I don't think at the time, but I knew it was something very meaningful. And I, continued to go back with her throughout my years in college. And then from there, I moved to San Francisco. And that was my early 20s and years of exploration and trying new things. I got really into meditation, trying different meditations, mindfulness, a lot of mindfulness, and just testing out all different yoga classes in San Francisco, and just exploring myself and all of that fun stuff. And there is where I became a Montessori teacher. I was working at a Montessori preschool. So this is back in, let's think, it must have been geez, it's hard to remember back
I
these
know. I
dates.
know.
This is like 2007,
Mm.
maybe. And so I'm teaching yoga. They had or I was teaching preschool, and they had two locations, the younger location, and then they had like the 2 and 3 year olds, and then the 4 and 5 year olds. And they asked me, I was working with the 2 and 3 year olds. They asked me, would you be interested in teaching the older kids some yoga? They knew, I was into that a little bit. And I was like, teach kids yoga. Like, this is not a thing back in 2007 very much, maybe a little bit more in California, but
Right.
what? And so I didn't have much to go on. I had gotten those Yogi pretzel cards.
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar with those,
Yes. Yep.
which
Got
they
those.
They were wonderful. And I just started once a week going up to the older school and putting together this little kids yoga class. They had, games interwoven into some of the cards and some, imagery and things like that. And as the story goes, right away, it was like, wow, these kids are really feeling this. They're receptive to this. They were excited for that time, that once a week when I went up and did that little window of yoga. And um, that was pretty magical and awakening to me. And then, life happens. And then I moved back to New York, still did a little bit of yoga. And I had that in the back of my mind, just how beautiful that was. And then um, I went back to college in New York. And then I met my husband, and we moved to Costa Rica for a year. And that is the time where my yoga practice took a different shape, where I really started to develop my own personal practice, and it it was just so beautiful to have with me on all of this journey. And then I again moved back to New York, and at that point we're getting married, you're back on this rat race, and okay, we want to have kids, we want to get married. I got a teaching job as a kindergarten teacher, and I always had, like, in the back of my mind, how beautiful it was teaching the children yoga back in San Francisco, and also had always dreamt of opening my own little nature preschool. That's just been my dream since I was, for years. And however, life takes hold of you. And so I was at this point, like this crossroads. I'm teaching kindergarten. I mean, it's my passion, my gift. I loved teaching, but it was either I continue down that path of, probably getting a public school teaching job, some security like that, the path most traveled, safest path. And, or it was like, do I start down this trajectory of, starting to build what I needed to one day be able to create my own program and that sort of thing. So, and that is when you, my dear, came into the picture in my life. Um, so teaching, I love teachers. I give them so much respect. It took everything. I was up at 4:30 in the morning preparing lessons, up late at night, all of it. And I knew I wanted to have children, and I was just trying to figure out how I could still be doing what I loved and I know I'm meant here to do, but also to be present for my own family and children. And so started dabbling in I think it was Craigslist. I saw the ad for Yogi Beans, and like all of us say, the ad said, can you bark like a dog and cluck like a chicken and crawl around the floor? And I'm like, yes, that is me. I could do it. And then, those remembering the experience in San Francisco years ago, and just like, maybe this is that doorway that I can enter to, feel like I can take this path less traveled, I guess. And so we had the interview.
I remember that.
You. Yeah. And I was on my lunch break in my car. And I remember I'm like sitting there and I hear your voice and we start talking, and I know we connected on a lot of things like traveling and dance and these things. And whether I had the job or not, your voice and talking about it just gave me that confidence that I felt like I could do it. I could figure it out. How, why not? Let's go for it. And then if not, I could get a teaching job. But so, and then I went to the second interview with you and Lauren, and it was just like, everything was, this is just amazing to provide this for children. Yeah, so I ended up getting the job and worked at Yogi Beans as an independent contractor, and eventually worked at I traveled to some schools in Westchester. I was kind of like the Westchester
Yes.
gal, and then ended up working in the studio for a couple classes, and then as the like admin, I took like the admin position so I could kind of start dabbling into that sort of stuff, the business stuff. And yeah, and then from there, I worked for another company too, traveling around Westchester doing creative movement classes and yoga classes and music classes. And it was a great experience. It was a really great experience and opened my eyes to a lot. And then I became a mother during all that time. And parenthood gave me this whole new ball game and perspective of children and their needs, and what it all means to raise the whole child and teach to the whole child. And um, through that time, I decided that I wanted to deepen my own practice as a mother. And that's when I decided to go on for my adult yoga teacher training, the 200 hours, which I did with or not Yogi Beans, the Yoga Lily with
Mm.
Pam and Dina, a fabulous program. And I just really realized that to be my best self for my children, and it was something I wanted to do, to really understand this ancient practice a little bit deeper, and to solidify those tools that are always continuously being
Mhm.
worked on. But yeah, I just felt like that was the next step for me, and so
Yeah.
here we are.
Parenthood changes you, huh? I feel like becoming a mom just just completely takes everything you think you know, and you just see it differently. So I'm so glad you took that step for yourself then, to say, you know what, this is something I need, for myself. And then in turn that, it helps with your children. Now, are they the inspiration for your company, Wild Type Learning? So when did you start it, and just how did that come to be?
So yes, they are a huge inspiration to Wild Type Learning. And as I said, I've always just in the back of my mind wanted to have a preschool that was nature based. And through my experience and my yoga practice and all of these things, it kind of um, it has snowballed into something more than just a nature preschool. It's kind of aligning all of my heart's work from my Montessori training and all my education and experience working with young children, the yoga practice, and also my connection to nature. And I just feel like yoga and nature, they really align in a lot of ways when we can build that connection with nature, the mind, the body, and the heart, and really um, bringing these fundamental tools into the classroom and into our young children's lives right now is just so very important. And I know the mission for you and Yogi Beans is to spread that to as many children as you possibly can, and you uplifting all of these children yoga teachers is just so very important. And I think in building that connection through nature, it also supports our children now physically, spiritually and mentally, kind of taking that whole mindfulness to really have it be something that makes sense to them, like that they can really, when you're outside connecting with nature and really just experiencing this, we're these souls in these bodies, and being able to fully experience our senses and our understanding of our interconnectedness with all things, and this idea of the oneness, and really bringing that to light for children to explore. We all know, going out in nature, and I'm sure we've all experienced this year, it's like we have this tightness and these emotions, layers upon layers. If you can step outside, it's like there's something to that. We all feel it, and now we have studies to support that, just the science behind being able to be in green space, and these diversity and nature. So like these mental, supporting our children mentally through those experiences. When we can provide our children with natural settings for just unstructured play, to explore, to discover, like that beginner's mind, that just wonder and awe of, like, I mean, my kids ask me questions, in our front yard, these bugs and these plants that, like, I don't really stop and think about sometimes. It's like the world just like blows when you can like look at these small spaces through a child's eyes. And we know it reduces stress when they have this ability to explore in nature. They build resilience, to just everything that presents them from being outdoors. They learn to trust themselves from being able to be outside and have questions, and to just follow an ant on a log. Like, there's so much to learn and connect with through these, it's just simple things. But yeah, and when children can be out in nature, the imagination and all that flows from that. And it also, and I found personally myself, helped me to learn to focus my mind more. Being able, like yesterday, preparing for this, I just needed to go out in the woods for a little bit. I sit there, I was able to focus. Because when I'm home, it's the cleaning, it's like a million things happening, and it allows me to really focus my attention. So that's some of the mental, or the mind, part of that nature connectedness that I think aligns with instilling the yoga as well for our young children. But then physically, I mean, just fresh air, breathing fresh air, physically helping our bodies. And I think too, like we were saying, you like de-stress and all that. I personally, like when I walk outside, sometimes my shoulders are here, and like I can like a physical feeling of this is it's true. And physically with our body, the motor skills, climbing trees, walking on uneven ground, our coordination, it really builds and fosters just just a love for moving your body, being outdoors. You're running, you're jumping, you're climbing from trees, and so just that love of the body. I mean, I sometimes look at my children just in their play, and they're in a yoga pose, right? But they're playing, and they move their bodies in all these ways. And then the biggest thing is just the senses, what you hear, listening to the different sounds, the birds, the insects. Last night we were just sitting there, we were listening for the owl and like the different sounds, and so, and then just the smells and the sensory. And it's just, again, things that are there, very simple, but just so impactful, to learn about this environment that's ours, that is supporting us. Just like I said in the beginning, kind of awkwardly, about this yoga being my friend or sister, like that, it like is always there to embrace me, is what I was trying to say.
Yes.
It's just there, and that's nature and our earth. This is our environment. We are a part of nature, and I feel like it's so important for our children to be exposed to that and to just build that connection.
Yeah.
And then going into like the spiritual aspect to kind of break it down, that mind, body, heart, and how I view it with that nature connectedness is the spiritual part, right? Just this, once they start asking the questions and start seeing and feeling, it's this interconnectedness of us all, where our food is coming from, where our water is coming from, this air that we're breathing, to really truly start developing this understanding and this awareness to that, is so important for our young children to have that ability at a young age. um, and then also that, like, that physical feeling of something greater than ourselves. You know, we
Mm.
talk about these more abstract ways of I think viewing that, right? And when they connect with nature, they actually, like a physical thing, connect. I'm connected to this. I am a part of this, and it just, I think, kind of solidifies that knowingness, right? That truth. Um, and yeah, just the magic that, like,
Yeah.
spiritually, that the magic and the beauty that's in front of us every day. We all need that so much right now. The remembrance of that
Hmm.
beauty and that magic and that truth. And again, just I see so much um, confidence in children that can be outdoors. That love and that compassion. That compassion is just, you, and the biggest thing is gratitude. You know, feeling grateful for the abundance that the earth gives us, and I think I think it's even more important now for us to be sharing the yoga and these tools into the schools and into our classrooms for as many children as we can, and allowing them also to connect with this world in which we live in. I think, you know, it needs to, it benefits them now with all these things I just broke down, but it also benefits them as they get older, because then they have this relationship that they can carry with them as they grow and make choices for themselves and for their family, and, you know, where they're getting their food from, where, you know, how. And, you know, we're all not perfect. Like, you know, we're going to have some plastic things that, you know, like, it, but it's the awareness, starting to become aware of the impact of our choices,
Mm.
and you know our airs and our waters, and all of these things are now, it's now, right, to start instilling this awareness into our children now, so that they can carry that with them, um, as they get older. And then they always have that relationship to turn to. Like us as parents, we want to love and protect our children at all times and be there to help them work through tough things happening in the world. And we're not always going to be able to understand, or they're not going to always want to come to us. So I also see, you know, in my own life, how having that connection with nature has always helped me to feel embraced and to feel loved in, you know, I always have a place to turn to, like I
Mm.
did yesterday preparing for this. I'm like, I
Right,
need to
right.
just
Yeah,
go in
it's always
nature,
there.
and yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's
So
what you're
so yeah,
saying.
back.
Yeah, it's like,
Sorry, go ahead.
nature has in it all the things we need already. So what you were describing of, like, they can, it's the focus and it's the confidence and it's the movement and it's the presence. It's like, it's funny. I was thinking, oh, there's so many like Instagram accounts where we're trying to like create that through an activity that we put together. That's like, could be maybe complicated, that we like set up some type of sensory thing, but it's funny, like nature, like it's just there. Like, so what I love about wild type learning is, like, you have these activities, but they're so simple and accessible. And I think offer kids so many tools to learn and to grow. So I was wondering if you can share maybe like one of your favorite activities that you offer for people listening who maybe haven't, followed your account yet. Like what kinds of things do you share?
Yes. And I think you hit it right on the nose, is like, we put so much pressure on ourselves. We need
Oh,
to
pressure.
like, things can be so simple. And I see these Instagram, like, preschool ideas that you could be doing at home. And I know, I look, and I've been there and I've done it, where you put
Mhm.
so much time and this effort, or you buy these things and they play with them for like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and so to me, it's, and this is where the Montessori and that sort of
Mm.
stuff comes in, is setting the stage for learning. And a lot of what, I hope to offer, and a little bit I do in my Instagram is, but yeah, just being able to, the work I think goes in before. So it's like you're setting this stage, you're putting things out, these, open-ended things, these sticks or rocks or, mud, some water. And most of the stuff that can enhance that is things you already have in your house:
Mm.
cups, spoons, some paintbrushes, like just very simple things. And being able to set that out for children to explore, for them to be able to use their imagination, and that's where they get into the deep play, and that's where us as mothers have some time to sit back and just watch and do what we need to do. And
Yes.
and so it's setting the stage for that, for just children to explore. And what I like to do too is weave in, when you working with children, or your own children, what their interests are. So if you have a theme or things like that, then you intertwine these books, or if it's like if kids are really into construction. My girlfriend was asking me this the other day, like, what can I do to set him up, to play with construction things? He's really into construction. So it's like, yeah, you put out the dump truck and the scooper truck and all that, but you allow them the space to get muddy and messy. You put out some rocks. You add some string. What type of construction are they interested in? Are we learning how to hammer with some nails, or building some sort of structure? And then anything that children are playing with, they become that, right? So when they're being construction workers, or just tooling around with their trucks, they are the construction worker. So have the vest or the hat, or the goggles, or the tool belt. Like, I mean, you don't need that stuff, but
Mhm.
it just enhances their imagination, their play, just exploring. And then the other beautiful thing about the Montessori is these practical life skills. Like, they want to be doing and figuring out what we're doing, right? So it's not necessarily all these toys, or like whatever. It's versions of the adult stuff for them to practice with, and start just discovering how they can use them. And yeah, so um we and like I said, books and things can also enhance play, because
Mhm.
it gives them the language, it gives them the ideas, the stories to go along with whatever it is that they're into. But it's setting that stage and being comfortable with the area that you set up for them to explore.
Mm.
So yes, I have room here for them to get dirty and whatever outside, but that's not always the case for all of us, which I completely
Mhm.
understand. So like, I would have like a art map that I would put out, and I know, and they know the boundaries, right? So you set the boundaries, of course, but then it's like, okay, you can explore and do what you want to do here in this area, and really, and having them help you come up with, what the boundaries are, and okay, this is what it is, but now have fun, learn, explore, ask questions. So yeah, that's like the main
Mhm.
stuff of the wild type learning. Now, um, the way I kind of look at this business or this company, it's a little bit premature, like putting the name out there, like all that kind of stuff, because when the pandemic started, this has been something that we have been wanting to build too, being
Hmm.
able to actually offer programs and workshops and retreats and these type of things. But I had a lot of friends that knew that this is what I was leading up to. And once the pandemic started, a lot of my friends that now had children at home, they're asking me, like, Jack, help a sister out. What do I do with my kids? Yeah, help me out. So I was like doing like, private messaging to different people, some ideas and whatever. And then, some friends were encouraging me, like, you should be sharing this with more people.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an Instagram. I didn't know anything.
Hmm.
Like, I didn't know hashtags. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I figured it out. But so that's like, but I'm like, this isn't like fully what wild type learning is, but they're like, you're just get it out there, start, just sharing these ideas to just,
Hmm.
and to me, to like get through this year, it kind of helped me feel connected, like I was being of service in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. And then, as we moved and all these
Hmm.
things, and so, I hope to be sharing more and more, and there's a lot of things in the works. um, but a lot of it has just been, right now the account is kind of us acclimating to our transition and all of that.
Yeah.
There's a
Can you
lot
tell us
to
about that? Yeah, I know there's a lot. I want you to tell us about that transition because I think it's so unique, like just your lifestyle, like how you're
come.
living. So you moved to the Adirondacks. You've
We
got
did.
50 acres of land. Did
Yes.
you build your home? And like, just tell me, it's just so
I,
fascinating to me. Just tell us about like, you're in Westchester now in your new home. So what led to that decision and kind of like, what's your
whew.
situation now?
So yes, we built our log home. We didn't do it like my husband and I hammering and nailing it, but we yeah, found, okay, back up. So a lot of this sparked from my husband and I's experience living in Costa Rica. So we lived
Right.
in Costa Rica for a year. His mother is from there. They have a farm up in the mountains. So and we basically managed the farm. We it was an eye-opening experience for both of us, and we just had this. It ignited something in both of us that we were just like this. If we could bring all the people we love here, we would
Hmm.
just stay here because it just moved. It just felt right. There was something about it. And so we knew, moving back, that it would be our goal to try and create something similar here around the people, or somewhat closer to the people
Hmm.
that we love. And that was a long journey and lots that we had to sacrifice and save every penny. And it took us, we've had this land for 6 years, and we just moved in the fall. So it took us about 5 years to save enough and do all the things. And there was a lot of questions. Is this the right move? With two small boys, and is this, really, and of course, throughout the journey of the whole process of getting loans and the construction, the plans, and then the site
Hmm.
work. I mean, we had so many blocks along
Oh,
the
I can
path,
imagine. Yeah.
so many barriers, so many things. We just stayed true to this. This just felt right at, what we wanted for our family, the values, being close to nature, trying to create somewhat of a homestead, and then to ultimately, hopefully, be able to offer programs here. Be
Hmm.
able to have children here, and yoga, nature yoga. Maybe we'll have
Hmm.
goats and do goat yoga. I don't know. I've never done that. I don't know anything about
Very trendy.
it. But I love just people's creativity with, like,
Yes.
sport, and yeah. So we have been here since September, and we are so happy. And it's not for everybody, but I mean, my husband and I are so different too, which is really neat. I'm from like education and spiritual and, feeling the vibe, and he's, in science and like that whole
Right.
thing. They marry so beautifully
Mm.
because he's really into, he does all the research with like, our chickens, and then he's really into soil science and the soils and permaculture. And so like we're basically have a blank slate. So it's,
Wow.
we're trying to set up our gardens and this whole system stiff, and how our animals and plants and everything, like forest gardening. And so we have a lot to learn. I kind of like to look at it as like, we're like working the soil right now. We've done all the research, we've done all the reading, but now it's putting it into actual action and
Yeah.
trial and error and learning as we go. And and now like too with wild type learning, and our land we call wild type acres, and
Oh,
it's
love
wild
that.
type learning. And just starting to plant those seeds, and yeah, just seeing what grows, what takes. And right now, it's connecting with this land that we're on, and really, toward like the middle of the winter, I was kind of like, I knew I needed some self-love. I needed to like
Mm.
adjust some things, because I was like, okay, like just so excited about being of service in this way with wild type learning, and reaching as many children, and helping parents and helping educators, and just like the wheels and excitement. And but then it's like, okay, we just moved, Jack. Like there's a lot that involves, and there was a lot that we needed to do to settle ourselves here. And now springtime, and like,
Hmm.
all right, you like, it's coming, but I want to enjoy the journey, and I want to come, as it begins to blossom, and I can offer myself in a more authentic way, where I'm grounded and ready to rock and roll. You know, I'm just excited to see, plant the seeds and be creative in what ways these offerings can evolve.
Yeah. Well, I see so much potential there, so much, so much. And like you're taking the time to plant the seeds, to nurture. They need the
Yes.
water. We need time. We don't plant seeds and then try to dig them up to see if they're growing yet, right? It all takes so much time. These are all metaphors we use for kids yoga, right? And that's what you're
Right.
living. And your children, I think it's so wonderful that they're just kind of watching and observing and living this now, and seeing you adjust and learn about the land and learn about this. And also just taking that leap, you and your husband, like props to you for being like, this is what we want to do. And I mean, we recently moved, we purchased a home, and that in itself was like so difficult, the process of like finding the home and even just like closing and all that stuff. I mean, I can only imagine if you're starting from scratch and how many roadblocks there must have been. But I love seeing you. We're recording video. I love seeing you in the home, and I love the posts and like just what you're doing, and like just following that path. And I am excited to see kind of, we're coming out of the pandemic now, at least here in New York, New Jersey. We're seeing some hope. I know it's still very bad in India, and I'm not saying the world is coming out of it, but we're starting to see some hope in our little neck of the woods. And as we start to gather again, and for you to be able to, I envision you being able to have children come to onto the land, and to, that school that you've always dreamed of. It's like, well, you've clearly got the space for it. And
Me too.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Um,
exciting.
yeah. And the other part, and I do hope to do that. And right now too, as we're acclimating to the area, it's really to um, immersing ourselves in the community, and really understanding what I have this grand idea, but like,
Mm,
how can I be of service to my community
yeah.
most effectively? So starting there, and then also with the beauty of the technology, and being able to share, and I do hope to find creative ways to kind of take this little, like, my vision isn't for it to just be like, oh, this, hey, whoever gets to come to this school, that's grand, being able to
Yeah.
take that and packaging it that it can be, shared and spread,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
this simplicity of building that nature connection, to support our future, right? To support us as humans and the world our children get to grow up in. And I think it's a very, very huge piece of the puzzle to start now building that connection so that
Mm-hmm.
um, we can make some shifts to some patterns that us as a society have gotten used to in this trajectory
Yes,
of
yes.
things, and with that is that mind body heart connection. And it's like a package deal. It's where I truly think, entering back into some normalcy, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that is, we
Mm-hmm.
have we have to do it carefully, and we have to do it mindfully, and be really, um, you know, um, yeah, to be really thoughtful and
Intentional, yeah, about how
intentional.
we,
That's the word
yes,
I was looking for.
yes.
Thank you. Yes, be very intentional about how we're raising our children now. And so that, I think, us as adults right now need to dig deep and level up. And even if you're not a nature person, you don't have to be a nature person, and there's ways to go about doing it, which I hope to weave into, like,
Mm-hmm.
simple things that build that connection and that awareness to
Yes,
us being a part of nature. I mean, yeah, we are a part of nature.
we are. We are.
I know. So,
It's
okay, I'm just going to say
reconnecting.
this was brought to my attention recently, that if you Google nature, it's basically everything but humans. It's like,
Hmm.
we've kind of completely written
Hmm.
ourselves out of the definition of nature. And I think
Wow.
it's just been like sitting with me. I'm like,
Hmm.
huh, yeah,
It's become
yep,
so separate, and you're bringing it back together.
wow.
Because it's all connected. Yeah. Well, I would love to hear your
It's
specific to kids yoga wisdom with your little kids yoga gem that I like to end with. So, if you were to offer advice to someone working within kids yoga, like what's your golden rule, your big gem that you would like to offer?
Mm. So I think that, obviously it's important to prepare and to bring your own authenticity, and to have fun. I think those are, like, really important. In thinking about this question, I recognize that something that I do in all of my classes, whether it's teaching yoga or teaching music classes, or just with my own children, is I like to start the class by making sure I make eye contact with every child. Um, and it's not like the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me. That has a place. I get it. Like, look at me, listen to me now, guys. Like, there's a different intention to what I'm trying to explain. It's like, and the kids yearn for it. I think it's like, I make sure that I look at them in the eye and give a little nod, and it it's telling them that I see them. I'm not seeing their behavior. I'm not seeing a little, this box that they're being put into, or, I'm seeing them, their light, their beauty. I'm connecting, like, this is a space right now where we're not going to judge. We're not, like, and it's a split second, but I notice in all my classes, they look for it. And of course, there's the kids that are like, no, no. But then when you get them to look, they're like, like, they almost like melt, like, she sees me. She sees me for a second, you know? And I look at it almost as like the namaste that we do at the end of class. Like, I honor the light in you, and I see your light and honor the light in me, and we are one. So without saying all those words, it's just that with children, it's just that little just connection to bring light to that moment that you share with them. And I think with my own children too, I find, we're just so busy in things, and do this and do that and clean that, and I've been trying to be more intentional of, it's like, takes 3 seconds to get down on their level and just say hi, it's nice to see you today. Like, just look at them in the eye, and that's it. And I found within myself a lot of the time, I'm like, look at me while I'm talking to you, or like, it's usually like more of it when you ask a child to look at you in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, not all the time, but a lot of the time, it's coming from a place of like, you know,
Mm.
uh, you did something wrong, or like you need
Yeah.
to listen to me and my words, but making it that I see you, I'm happy to be with you today. I think it's a
So
nice
beautiful.
way to begin.
It's so beautiful. Don't we all just want to be seen? Like you said,
I'll
just
be
just
seen.
seen. And it also reminds me of something Maya Angelou said, which was when your children walk into the room, do your eyes light up?
Mm,
And she was like, do you look at them and think, oh, let me fix your hair and let me get your clothes straight, or let me is that what you see first? Or is it like, do they see your eyes light up when they walk in the room? And it makes me like just teary-eyed because, like you said, as
chills.
parents, we're trying our best and it all comes from a good place, but sometimes we could get lost in the, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to get this done, we have to keep our schedule going, whatever it is. There's so much to be done. But just I love how you said looking at their eyes, because that kind of just reminded me to like, I'm like, so I forget sometimes to just see my kids. So thank you for that.
We
So
all do.
powerful.
We all do. We're doing our best. We really need to give ourselves some grace and some
Mm.
love. Take a minute to honor all the parents this year. You did great. You did
You
great. Let it
guys,
go. Let it go.
it was it
It's hard.
wasn't easy.
It was not. But thank goodness, we had them because it helped
Mm.
me to find that presence. Sometimes it was my 5-year-olds nagging me and pull or
Mm.
spraying me, and me getting with water, and me getting so mad at
Yes.
them, and then like just letting go and like,
Right.
you're right, I'm too much in my head, I'm too uptight right
Yes.
now, I need to relax. Thank you.
Totally.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I found myself thanking my children a lot,
Mm.
apologizing a lot to
Yes.
them,
Love it.
but also thanking them.
Oh, 100%. Well, I know people are going to want to find you. So where are all the places? The social media, the email, like what are the best ways to get in touch?
Yes. So at Wild Type Learning is my Instagram. I guess my handle. I've learned that's the name. My handle.
Yeah, yes. I learned that
And
recently too. I was like, what is that called? What's
I think it was like Lauren. Yeah. Anyway, she asked me what my handle was, and I'm like, I googled it. Like, where's my
like,
handle?
what is handle?
And yes, so Wild Type Learning. I do have a Facebook Wild Type Learning page too. And then it's wildtypelearning@gmail.com if you have some ideas or questions, or yeah, and keep a lookout. This summer again, I'm giving myself that grace to just um, be able to acclimate where we are, and really doing a lot of the behind the scene things. I'm really working on a year long curriculum that I'm putting
Mm.
together, so that will start in September, like sharing more, how to weave in the academics and the yoga
Mm.
and the nature, and so keep a lookout for
Wonderful.
that. All the fun stuff. There's a lot of
Wonderful.
wheels turning.
Yeah, I can feel it. It's so exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for your bright spirit. I'm so grateful we met all those years ago. And thank you for taking the time. I loved connecting and talking with you.
I loved it too. Thank you, Jessica, for all that you do, and bringing light into this world. These yoga teachers are bright lights. Keep doing the
Yes,
work.
they really are.
Keep
Keep
doing
going,
the
everybody.
work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacalyn.
Yay!